Can I just say, before I say my whole intro, having your mic muted and forgetting it's muted really sucks, honestly. Anyways, guys and girls, welcome back to another anime review. Today we're reviewing Alderamin of the Sky episode 12. So yeah, one away from the season finale. Hopefully the season finale. I just can't see them not doing another season. But let's talk about what happened in this episode, and we'll talk more about everything else later. So we have John over here setting up for an attack against Ikta's group. You know, Ikta in the first image you saw was just more so trying to figure out what John is going to do, and so far it looks like John has a kind of strategy. He's going to go in, and he's not really worried. I mean, it looks obvious that he's really kind of, I guess, hell bent on doing his move, and his movements will be what he thinks will work against Ikta's group. Now, meanwhile, Nana and Ratcliffe are having a conversation with one another, and what's interesting about this conversation is that, you know, Nana feels bad about having to kill Ratcliffe's partners and allies, and what's interesting about this is that we see her reaction going, you know, listen, if you want to, just cut my arms off. Go ahead, cut my arms off, we'll be forgiven. You know, wait till after the battle, but then you can cut them off. I'm like, you guys, you Sinnoh people are very, very fast to have people cut your arms off and limbs and stuff. It's a little weird. I mean, you know, Ikta cut his finger off. That's still kind of weird, but more so, what is it? So in this society with the Sinnoh people, if you do something wrong, like it's yeah, don't worry, don't just cut my fingers off. It's well perfectly fine. Don't worry. I messed up, man. Okay, cut my arm off. It's okay. I was like, damn, really fast. But you know what I liked about the scene though is that it really presented something that's a kind of ultimatum with war in general, where, you know, we have Ratcliffe feeling really bad. She really didn't want to do stuff like this when she joined the military, and she feels like she's really responsible for all the people she killed. And meanwhile, the general comes in and goes, you know, don't feel responsible. I'm the one who ordered you to do what you had to do. You know, I'm the one that's going to be the one that's committing the sin. You are not. You are still, you know, sin-free when it comes to that. And I kind of like that line because, you know, it's very interesting. People don't think about that too often, the concepts of war. I mean, I'm not going to get into a political thing about this, but, you know, because I actually did kind of in my last part of my review, but I'm like, yeah, I could save that for some other time when it comes to this. But, you know, one thing about war is that people forget the sides of it and kind of what goes in the mindset of war in general. You know, they know the basics of it, but they never understand the concept that it does have on people's mind and psyches. So I think it's interesting how this was handled very well in the series. I mean, one thing I love about the series is that despite it being a fictional setting and fictional world, they handle the war elements pretty good. I mean, these are things that you see in the war textbooks, and if you talk to people of war, you know, this is kind of, especially more so the older wars, this is something you see happening, where you see the concepts that are going against people and the thought process that goes into, you know, having to charge in and losing people around you, friendships and all that. So, I mean, I think that's one thing I love about Alderamin of the Sky. But anyways, let's moving on though with this is that we did see the one comedy. I think this is like the only comedy bit of this whole thing was when Ikta was sleeping on a bed of hay, and Nana comes in and goes, "Oh, Ikta, why'd you sleep there? You could have slept anywhere, somewhere. You could have slept in my bed." I love Ratcliffe's response to that. She's like, "Wait, what?" I think it's the best scene, honestly, of this whole thing. Like, it was so funny. Meanwhile, though, they actually get into the nitty gritty, so comedy over and all the emotional stuff's over. Now we have to focus on what they're doing. So right now they know that the fires are going out. The fires have been protecting the fort essentially from attack from the enemy side by having it where all the main roadways and main pathways to the forest are cut off, so they really can't go anywhere. So Ikta's, you know, kind of concept and strategy is to take 7 days. He's going to do this in 7 days. He's going to have the main forces retreat. He's going to hold several people. So his group mainly is going to hold behind, but all the other forces are going to retreat backwards, allowing, I guess, a kind of retreat / attack defense move where they will attack back if they have to, but really it's a retreat / defense more than anything else. And I thought it was really cool. Ikta tells everyone, listen, you're gonna be both busy these 7 days and you're gonna be lazy when you have to be. So, you know, be lazy when you have to be, do your work when you have to be. I think that was really interesting because, I mean, it goes to show you he's trying to tell them to rest when they have to and when they do have the time, but also at the same time make sure they do the work that they have to do that's set before them. So I think that's interesting. Now we also see something interesting where we see a blimp appear in the sky, very similar to the blimp we saw very early on in like the first, I think it was the second episode actually. This blimp though, Ikta doesn't understand what's going on with it. That he understands that it probably is a recon blimp because there are 300 soldiers behind it, or below it, excuse me. But he doesn't understand fully, and it's going to take him the whole episode before he finally goes, oh crap, that's what that blimp was for. And I mean, that's going to be the same thing for us too. Now, luckily, Toraway's group was behind, because the thing is that, remember that group of assassins that Ikta's group, like, so Yatari and Ikta met on the mountainside when they were climbing that a couple episodes back. They are attacking again, but they waited until the third day. So we're at the third day now of the 7 days. They waited for that to attack the group. And what's funny about this is that luckily Toraway was set up by Ikta to stay there and to defend that spot, and he's able to take out a decent amount of these assassins, because so far as we've seen, it looks like these assassins are pretty tough, but now it looks like they're dwindling down to like maybe a handful compared to the 12 they had. Now they look like they only have like 4, so that's very interesting. I like that. Also, though, we do see on the 6th day why it took so long for the kind of other side to attack Ikta's group. It's because they've been dragging along this whole time sun cannons, according to them. And I just want to talk about this really fast. I think that's really interesting because we're starting to see, I noticed, a trend of using real life weaponry. And I'm wondering, in many ways, what world is, does Ikta's place take over? Like, Alderman of the Sky in general is very fantasy, as we know, because it's got the spirits and all that. But I almost wonder, is it like a concept that it's based off of our world? It's just with more of a spiritual element? I'm always wondering that, because I really think it's kind of cool that we're starting to see sniper rifles and we're starting to see cannons and stuff like that. So I'm very interested about that. But we then find out, unfortunately, kind of late for Ikta a little bit, but not late enough that he can kind of react to it. We find out that the blimp has actually been going above the sky for several days, because the 300 soldiers underneath it were finding ways to attack the group using the safest method. So they were looking for weaknesses in the fire, like where the fire was the weakest at, and they were also looking for little movement spots that they can move around and be undetected. So, Ikta then just realized, oh shit, I let this blimp go. This blimp has actually been training these soldiers to figure out what the best ways of attacking us are this whole time. So I'll say this right now. This is kind of the end of the episode. We see we see John's group coming in from the mountainside. So Lelouch 2.0 over there is leading the charge, of course. And climax of the season should be Ikta versus Lelouch, really like the actual concept of it. But this episode wasn't bad. It was a little weaker than the last ones because I think it's a little formulaic. I might have said this already, but I can't remember because I had my mic muted, like I said, so I had to redo this. But what's interesting though is that we really are seeing some conclusion to a lot of things, at least for this part of the war. So I mean, I'm only imagining there's gonna be a second season. If not, I'll be sad. But I hope there's a second season because I really enjoy Alderman in the Sky. Anyways, guys and girls, as always, if you like this review, please hit that like button, subscribe, share the video. You know the whole nine. Have a blessed day, everyone. Bye bye.